Hi friends, welcome to my kitchen. If you are new here, my name is Rhonda. So if you like videos on homemade foods and preserving foods and quick and easy meals and desserts and all the good things, then consider subscribing to my channel. Today I'm making salsa. It's called corn salsa and it uses fresh sweet corn. So we grow a big garden here at Acres of Clay where I grow a lot of our own produce that we eat throughout the year. And this year my youngest son decided to start his own little garden area, and he worked up the soil and all of it, and he planted sweet corn. So the sweet corn is coming on right now and it's ready to harvest. It's all coming on at one time because he planted it all at once, but that's okay. So we're going to use some of that sweet corn in today's recipe. We're going to be making corn salsa, which uses fresh tomatoes, fresh sweet corn, fresh onions, fresh peppers, and all the things from the garden. So that's what today's video is. This is a really easy recipe. If you are new to canning, this recipe is not intimidating at all. It's very straightforward, and I'll just walk you through the steps. So right now I'm cutting onion because I need 1 cup of onion for this recipe. I've already husked and cut the corn off of the cob. It doesn't take a lot of sweet corn, just 2 cups, so maybe 4 ears, I would say. You can easily multiply this recipe, so you can double it, quadruple it, whatever you want. It also takes some cilantro. Now I had to go to the store and buy cilantro because mine in the garden is long past done turning into coriander seed, and I also have a hot pepper. Now the recipe calls for jalapenos, but I didn't even grow jalapenos this year. I grew a Hungarian wax pepper. These things are hot, so I'm not putting any of the seeds in this salsa because we don't really like our salsa super spicy, but I am putting some of the hot peppers in just to give it a little bit of heat. And then of course you need tomatoes, and I've already taken the time to put these in some hot water, boiling water, so that the skins can peel right off. But you can leave the skins on if you prefer. But these are ready for peeling. I haven't peeled the skin off of it yet. I have a large variety of tomatoes that I can use. I have yellow ones and red ones, but the majority of the tomatoes that I will use are my paste tomatoes. Just because it yields a little bit better, there's not going to be quite as much juice in the salsa. It's just a meatier, tomato to use for salsa. I'm actually going to run the tomatoes through my blender. I have a Vitamix here, and you can use a food processor if you'd rather. I feel like they do the same thing. This just holds more than my food processor and might not be quite so messy, but I'm just gonna chop them up a little bit in the Vitamix. I am gonna run the peppers through the Vitamix as well, just to get them chopped up a little bit more. You can run the onions through it too. Oh, also you need fresh limes. You can use bottled lime juice for this, but you do need a 1/2 cup. So I don't know how many limes that's gonna take. Maybe 6, 7, 8, I don't know. And that's all we need for this recipe. So right now I'm gonna work at cutting up these tomatoes. I'm going to take the cores out, and since I have a lot of them that are paste tomatoes, they don't have a lot of seeds, which is nice, and so I'm not going to de-seed them, if that's a word. But I am gonna cut the core out. So for this recipe we need 5 pounds of tomatoes, and I am going to weigh the tomatoes after they are run through the blender. Alright, so everything is going to be weighed. I have my stock pot because we have to cook this, and I have a digital scale, and the tomatoes will get weighed when I put them in the stock pot. So I need 5 pounds of chopped up tomatoes. And I don't have my jars ready yet. I feel a little bit unprepared today because of everything else that's going on around here. My husband and I are farmers. We're homesteaders slash farmers, and That farming part just means that we're dairy farmers and we own and operate a dairy farm. I do have another channel called Acres of Clay Homestead, and you can check that out if you would like. And that channel is pretty much geared towards the dairy end, the dairy farm end. Originally, it was going to be a homesteading channel, but I found out that I can't really separate the dairy farm from our homestead, and then I realized people like watching farming. So all that to say, we do have a farm, and there's a lot going on with the farm all summer long, all year long, but especially during the summer months. I have to purposely schedule time here in the kitchen, otherwise I feel like the farm, the garden, and everything else will take over. So I'm not going to run them through too much because I want some chunks, but let me show you. Hold on. I want it to be a little chunky, so I want it to not just be pureed tomatoes. All right, so we're looking for 5 pounds of tomatoes. Ooh, we're at 2 pounds. So 2.5, okay. 2.8, so 2.5 pounds. I need another 2.5 pounds. All right, we'll see if this is the same amount. Okay, we'll see if this is. There we go, right there. 5 pounds. All right, now I need to cut up my peppers, which whoops, I have some extra here. Grab a bowl, put the extra in here. Okay, so I need only about, if you're gonna use jalapenos, you need maybe 3 or 4 of them. It's up to you how spicy you want, and it's up to you if you want to add the seeds or leave the seeds out. So I'm going to mix these up just a little, chop them up a little more. Okay, I've got my peppers chopped up, which hopefully it's not going to be too spicy. Now I need 1 cup of onion. I'm not going to chop, I already chopped these up, so I want to just make sure I have a cup, which I don't know if I do. I have a 1/2 cup, almost a full cup. I better cut up a little bit more onion. 1 cup of onion. Next thing we need is 2 cups of sweet corn. Now you can use frozen corn as well. Just thought. I need a 1/2 cup of chopped cilantro. Last thing we need is lime juice, and I'm gonna need a 1/2 cup of lime juice. So where's my squeezer? So we're gonna squeeze out as many limes as we need. I got a 1/2 cup measurement. And if you don't have one of these, I find these work super easy for squeezing lemons and limes for fresh juice. I love putting lemon juice in my water. It's just really refreshing. So it's just an easy way to squeeze the juice out. Okay, don't skimp on the lime juice. You're gonna need at least a 1/2 cup, but if you have a little bit more, that's fine. Make sure you have at least make sure you have at least a 1/2 cup. Whoops. So I have a good big full 1/2 cup. I think that took 7 limes. And this is our mixture. We're gonna stir this all together. I'm gonna put this on the stove and start heating it. While that's happening, I'm gonna get my canner and jars and everything ready. I have my water bath canner. It's full of water and it has the jars in it. And I have this, I've got this coming up to a boil. This will keep the jars hot, but it will also sterilize your jars. My jars are already sterile, but this does keep them hot because we are going to place the salsa, which will be hot in a jar. You don't want to put your hot liquid in a cold jar. You want to make sure that they are both hot. That way it will ensure that your jar doesn't crack and break. I did forget to add salt to this. I went to taste it and I'm like, oh, I need salt. So it does need a couple teaspoons of salt. I have sea salt here. You can use canning salt or sea salt. Just don't use iodized salt. We're going to bring this up to a simmer. We're going to let it simmer for 5 to 7 minutes, and then it will be ready to ladle into our hot jars. Okay, this has been simmering, well, kind of boiling, but simmering for over 5 minutes, and it's ready to get in our jars. So my jars are still in here. They've been boiling away, and they're hot and ready to go. So I'm going to take them out, and we're using pint-sized jars, but you can use wide mouth or regular mouth, it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep the lid on, keep it hot. Now we're going to fill our jars. I need a funnel, so we're going to funnel this hot salsa right into our jars. Let me bring you closer so you can get a better view. Oh, this is going to look gorgeous in the jars. And each jar will hold 2 cups, leaving about a 1/2 inch head space. I guess I can turn the heat off. Alright, so now I'm taking a wet rag or paper towel, and I'm going around the rims, just wiping off anything that may have spilled, and also checking my jars for cracks at this time. All of that will affect the seal, so we want to make sure that these all seal. You can debubble, but this is pretty liquidy. Get the rings on all these and get these in the canner. And these are going to be processed for 15 minutes. So once I lower these and this water starts to come back to a rapid boil, I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes and let them process. And then after the 15 minutes, I'm just going to shut the heat off, but leave the jars in here. That helps prevent any siphoning that may happen. There we go. Alright, so your jars should be covered with water. You want to make sure there's 1 inch or 2 of water over each one. And then once that comes to a rapid boil, it's not boiling yet. That's just the water going around the jars. Once that comes up to a boil, then we'll set our timer. Alright, it's been 15 minutes, so I'm going to just go ahead and shut the heat off. We are going to just leave it. You can take the lid off of it, but I'm just going to let it kind of relax for about 5-10 minutes and just let it settle.